one of the greatest wrestlers in the entire world. I was traveled the world, and people knew me. I meet to this day. Sometimes I meet somebody in the restaurant or something like that. Hey, you're Killer Kowalski, aren't you? I said, yes, I am. I said, wow, I used to watch you when I was a kid. I said, thank you very much. So that's the way it was. I'm still remembered from one place to another. When I was in Australia, we were doing taping in Australia and sending the tapes to Indonesia, Singapore, Hong Kong, Kowloon, and then we go to wrestle those towns, and they knew who I was, what I was capable of doing, and I was a big star to all and everybody. So that was the whole thing. Make the people notice you in that ring. That was my whole image was doing. Make the people notice me, not my opponent. I did exactly that way. I kept on my opponent and kept after him and made him go, go, go. And I had guys, see, I was in tremendous conditioning. Why? Because how much oxygen is there in decay rotting flesh? Zero. And the foods I ate were highly oxygenated, raw fruits and vegetables. So my body was absorbing the oxygen from these raw fruits and vegetables. So therefore, I had an abundant amount of oxygen in my system. I go in that ring and I go, go, go. I was going to increase the speed of wrestling. Even to this day now, they can't do it when matches are too short. And I was able to go, I remember one time, wrestle Luthez. 90 minutes in that match. Go, go, go. And in my time, promoters and everybody knew that I could perform in that ring. My opponent jumped out of the ring. He was pooped. So what did I do? Referee's going to count him out. So I climbed the top turnbuckle, threatening to jump down my opponent who was down below me. So the referee's going to count me down instead. 1, 2. So I jumped down at 8. When he hits 8, I jumped down back in the ring, and I threatened to punch the referee. If you touch me, I'll have you suspended. You'll never wrestle again. By that time, my opponent was back in the ring because he was so pooped. So when he got to him, that goddamn Pollock, she almost threw up in that ring. That's the way it was. I could go in there, perform in that ring, and make the people notice me. When I was wrestling for Vince McMahon Sr., I would dress for him for one whole year. Then I go on the road. And other promotions would call up, when is Kowalski leaving? So he said, well, he's all gone. It's best for another promoter. So I give him a phone number, and he called up the other promoter. So how long is Kowalski going to stay there? So he gave him the time. So I was booked a whole year ahead. I went back to Vince McMahon Sr., and he had me booked again. So for one whole year, Gorilla Monsoon and I were tag team champions. And later on, as I kept going, when I went out to Australia, there for a whole year, traveling around throughout there. I go to Japan. I stay in Japan 3, 4, 5 months at a time. Why? Because they knew I can perform. I performed against the Japanese themselves. They all hated me because they want the Japanese wrestlers to go in there and beat the heck out of me. Well, never worked out because here's what's happened. Eniko, one of the Japanese wrestlers,
Antonio
Inoki. I'm leaving. This is a Friday night match in his hometown, Osaka, and I wrestle Baba on Saturday. Sunday I fly out. So I'm supposed to make Antonio Inoki win the match. Fine. So he puts me on a hold, gets me up in the air, he drops me back on my head, knocked me out for a tenth of a second. I come out of it, and I was so angry at him. He tried to pin me. I got out of the pin because I knew of a hold I can put on a guy, get me off him, got him off of me. And I threw him the ropes. I jumped up in the air, and both feet crashed into his head, knocked his head back, down when he was unconscious. So I got to put him over, win the match, his hometown. So I got up, picked him up. I stood up with him holding him up. I staggered around, I fell back. Referee got down 1, 2, 3, counted me down. So I pushed him off. I staggered around to let the people know that I was really hurt. Staggered around a bit, come out of the ring, staggered to the dressing room, come back, open the door of the dressing room, turn around. He's still unconscious. The referee counted me out, but Inoki was still unconscious. He raised his arm, I was still laying there. So I was able, when I ran to that ring, I was such tremendous condition and shape. I ran the whole match. Sometimes I have to go to a new town or something like that. I didn't know who I'm wrestling. I never spoke to my opponent beforehand for my whole career. 30 years of wrestling, I never talked to my opponent beforehand. I just went in that ring and did it. And if my opponent was green, I carried him through the match. That's the way it was. If he was I knew how much education or how good he was in the ring by the first few moves he made. Otherwise, I carried the match. It's his hometown. I was a real nice guy. And the promoter said, this guy has to go over. Fine, I'll put him over. Only if I wanted to. That's the way it was. I controlled the whole thing. I ran the whole thing. Ventura, California. I'm wrestling a guy. I'm going to retire in a couple of years. So I'm sitting in the dressing room. All the other wrestlers are afraid to death of me. They're sitting way away from me. So I'm sitting there and getting dressed. This bodybuilder walks in. Big arms and chest, small waist, and what tremendous conditioning he was in. Human wrestling. The guy in the corner there. Oh, give me a break. So I'm going, he's kind of old. He's going to be retiring, you know. Yeah. So I told the referee, I go in the ring first. Of course you're going to ring first. People hated you. As I walked in, people booed me. So I walk in the ring. I stood in the corner. I slouched over. He starts walking out. The people start cheering him. Here's this big bodybuilder. Figure's going to beat the heck out of me. So we walk in. He walks in the ring, and the bell rings. I go over and I grabbed him. I knew exactly what to do and how to handle him. In 4 minutes, he's beating hard. So about 10 minutes, I knocked him down, body slammed him, pick him up off the ground, hit him again, walked him down again. I kept him going. Finally, he says, referee, I quit. I give up. Give him the match. What do you say, referee? Baloney, I'm not even warmed up yet. So I grabbed the guy up, kept on going. Finally, we'd gone about another 5 minutes. He's crawling on hands and knees. He's crawling hands and knees to the end of the ring, underneath the rope. He throws up twice on the floor. So I pull him back, and I pounded him. Referee says, Waller, he's turning blue. So holy mackerel, the guy's dying. So I put my foot on the guy. Referee counted him down. So I stood in the ring, taunting the people, screaming at me. So the referees, other wrestlers come out, carried him back to the dressing room. And he couldn't breathe. Because I guess his lungs were full of phlegm, and he couldn't breathe, so no oxygen in the system. He just passed out. When he got back to the dressing room, he's still alive. So I walked out there. He said, I don't know who you were. I said, you're going to remember me for the rest of your life. So that's the way it was. When I wrestled these guys, they remembered me all the time because they knew. I'm sitting in Toledo, Ohio, sitting in the dressing room, and the dressing room was full of wrestlers. And I'm saying, what are you guys looking at? Well, we heard you were coming here 4 weeks ago, so we all went to the gym to work out so we could look half decent against you in the ring. So, well, that's the way it goes. They knew that I was in tremendous conditioning, turned to shape. So that's the way it was. So I knew how to handle me and handle myself. I was told by Lou Thez, who traveled around, he was my mentor. He was one of the bosses in St. Louis, Missouri. So had me come down there. And he started training me and show me this. Over the years, Walter, you're going to be tested to see how tough you really are. So he showed me certain moves that were tremendous. And he talked to a wrestling promoter in Detroit, in Montreal, Canada. He told me about this guy. So he had me booked. I got booked there in Montreal, Canada. And I'm wrestling around there, this, that, and the other thing. And I built up my name pretty good. There they hated me because I was, in Polish, Walter is Wladek Kowalski. That's Walter in English. So they promoted me as Walter, and they hated me because I was a foreigner. So all these French guys, French wrestlers, even the crowd always hated me. So one time, I'm wrestling a guy by the name of Yukon Eric. Yukon Eric was a big, heavy guy, he worked out a lot. And he got punched around, had big cauliflower ears. So my finish in the matches were, I slammed the guy, knocked him down, climbed the top rope, leaped off the top rope, come down, and my shin bone, right across the guy's chest here, almost cracked his thorax. And that's how I used to do things. And I used to pin guys. So I had a wrestling Yukon Eric at the Montreal Forum. And I slammed him. I pulled him over to the corner, took his leg, his right leg, over the second rope, his toe on the bottom rope. I got him trapped in there. I climbed the top turnbuckle and I go deep over and come across on his chest. But the referee was underneath me, trying to unhook his leg. So I leaped over the referee. Yukon Eric saw me coming down. He turned away. My shin bone scraped his cheek so tight. It ripped the whole ear off the side of his head, rolled across the ring like a golf ball. The referee pushed me back. Looked down, picked up the ear, still throbbing. What's that? I said, that's his ear. His ear. He said, look over there. He's standing there. Blood was just pushing on the side of the head. Blood flowing, blood pushing blood. Somebody threw a towel in it. He put a towel over his head. A few seconds was soaked. He walked out of the ring, went back to the dressing room. Referee said, what do I do? Raise my arm, I'm the only one left. So raise my arm as the winner of the match. So like that. This was a Wednesday night. The following Wednesday, I went to get paid at the office. No, on Friday, I went to get paid. And so our promoter says, you been to the hospital? I said, for what? What do you mean, for what? You used to go ahead and apologize to Yukon Eric. I said, oh boy. I never apologized to anybody. I hurt a lot of guys in my career. So the office guy took me across, about 2 blocks away, walked over there, walked up to the second floor, and I looked down the aisle, there's an open door, a bunch of people in there. He said, that's his room. I'm not going in there. So the office guy runs over, stood at the doorway, said, Kowalski's out there. Oh boy. So I walked out there and I stood in the doorway. Here, what I saw was Yukon Eric sitting on the edge of the bed, feet on the floor. His bound is around and around and around. His first thought came to mind was Humpty Dumpty sitting on a wall. So I started laughing. So he smiled at me and I walked out. In their rooms, there were people from television and people from newspapers. Next day, from the Montreal Gazette, Vlada Kowalski visits Yukon Eric in the hospital and laughs at him. So the following Wednesday, I'm wrestling in the Montreal Forum. I'm walking toward the ring. People are throwing fists at me, garbage at me, bottles at me, crack, head like that, and they're screaming at me, you're a master, you're animal, you're a killer. That's from that day on, that was my name, Killer Kowalski. I owe to Yukon Eric for giving me that name. From that time on, a lot of people didn't even know I was Walter. I was Killer Kowalski to people and everybody. They remembered me for what I was, for what I did in the ring. So that's the way it was. And to this day, I'm proud of the fact that I still am Killer Kowalski. I talk to people, I meet other people, and that's the way it was. I proved myself in the ring too. One time in St. Louis, Missouri, an amateur wrestler, supposed to be one of the best amateurs around, supposedly a tough guy, he challenged me. Oh, get away. So this other friend of mine, who was a nephew of the promoter, Sam Mechnick, the promoter in Montreal, in St. Louis, and his guy said, come on with me, Walter, come on over to this place. So we went over to this guy's house. In the basement, he had mats down. So he challenged me, he's going to come after me. I broke his leg. I knew how to do these things. I broke his leg. It ended right then and there. His challenging, he'd done it. Another one, I only broke his leg twice in my whole career. And out of Sacramento, California, wrestling guy, a Hungarian guy. He got tough at me too, they're like that. So I said, well, I'm going to teach him a lesson. I broke his leg too. He crawled out on the leg, he's on the floor. He broke my leg. Referee says, what do I do? I said, count him out. So the referee counted him out and raised my arm. Killer Kowalski. Well, I'm living up to my name, Killer Kowalski. That's the way it is. That's the way it goes. So I'm proud of the fact of what I did all the time and what I can do to this day. To this day, people challenge me, what do? I apologize. I use the words of magic. You know, using the words, I train guys at the school. What you think you become, what you feel you become, what you say you become. Never demean yourself. Never look back. Always look up and shoot for the moon. If you miss, you may hit a star. So that way you keep on going, and you become what you think you become, and you make yourself. Like, don't think of yourself as saying, well, I mean, I can't do that. You can do anything and everything. Be positive about yourself, and you will make it. Like, that's what guys go to college. When they go to college, they still study some of the things that they did, things like that. Wow. And they slowly, they get a job, and they prove to their bosses and everything like that how good they are. Later on, they become, just like climbing a ladder. They go up, and the methods and everything like that, where they're working at, they prove to the bosses how good they are, how much they can think, how smart they are too. That's the whole thing, even with wrestling. I tell the guys, think of it and prove it to yourself. Maybe you can't do something the first time, but you keep practicing. When I had my school first, so when I taught Triple H, Perry Saturn, Prince Albert, I showed them these things, and they caught on. And he did it like Triple H. I mean, you show him one time, boom, he had it immediately. He was one of the fastest learning guys I ever had in my school. He was tremendous. He was very, very good. That's how it was. So I'm proud of the fact that I was able to do it and prove it to the other people, to my opponents, and things like that. So I said, don't demean yourself. One time, there's other wrestling schools that I heard the word about, and they had a guy come in and made him pay money ahead of time, $2,000 or so. They taught him how to pick their nose, scratch the groin or something like that, you know. But in the ring, they didn't show him much, but they didn't know much. The whole thing was to get the money off them. I had a guy at my school come down one time. How old are you? He said, $40, 40 years old. I said, here, I got the money, I'm going to pay for it. I want you to train me and show me and make me become a professional wrestler. I said, stop. Just sit down and watch the guys work out. So I had the guys do this and do that. I had some of the guys do some flying in them, move, do quad this and that and that. Then after about an hour, I walked over to the guy. So usually my training was about 2 hours. I walked over to the guy and said, you think you can do it? No, I can't do that. So I thank you. So I never took his money. So he left. So that was it. In other words, I wasn't doing my school. I wasn't training to become rich. I was there training to show people and prove to them what I can do and what my talents can show and emit, and what the other what my seniors, my other athletes in my school can do. That's the way it was. But there's one time I received a phone call from a guy, and this your guy said he could do anything and everything. Well, I was wrestling at the time in Los Angeles, California. There's one guy, he's a great, big, powerful guy, big arms, muscles, and everything like that. I said, Jesus, you're big. How'd you get like that? I take anabolic. I said, what the hell is that? He said, steroids. First time I ever heard of it. And I said, there's a guy I was wrestling. There's a guy in Minneapolis, Minnesota. He wants to use me. You think I should go up there? I said, yes, go up there. And so he went up there. He was wrestling for Vern Gagne. And that's the way it was. And Vince McMahon when he started to take over from his father, he was traveling around picking up other wrestlers and things like that, you know. And he was up in Minneapolis, Minnesota. He saw this guy, superstar Billy Graham, working out. He hired him. I'm at home one time, and well, anyway, there's a lot of problems with steroids, like man had. And this guy, Billy Graham, but because of his steroids, he had hip replacement. He's walking with a cane. His knees are bad. So, I mean, the guy, all from steroids. They're destroying his body. I come home one time, my phone rings. He's suing Vince McMahon for $25 million. I picked up my phone rings, I picked up the phone, yeah. And, guy, who's this? That's Killer Kowalski. You're on the air now. I'm talking, who am I talking to? I say, Billy Graham. I says, oh, I remember you, Graham. So you were the guy that was on steroids, and you're suing McMahon, and you're responsible for all the injuries that you have, trying to blame it on someone else. You're the responsible for you are only you. All that information was on the air, went out. Vince McMahon heard about it, and because I mentioned it, Billy Graham dropped all charges against Vince McMahon. Huh. So that was it. So I got a call from Linda McMahon. I said, Waller, I'd like to talk to you on Friday. Our lawyer, I will be on one line, my lawyer will be on another line, he's in another city. I will be talking to you. So they're talking to me. While they're talking, they want to hire me. Hire me to help do the TVs. So that's what it was. They're doing the TV in the middle of the month. They're doing their TV. The first match they do is a live match, like SmackDown or wherever it is, you know. It's a live at the building they're in. It's a live match. Match number 2 was taped. Number 3 was taped. And number 4 was taped. So they used to show these tapes as the other matches for the other show on the taping, different matches. So hey, and so my job was to scrutinize the matches. Match number 1, I might make a comment to. I said, when this guy wrestled him, I said the match stunk. I made a comment. The match was good. I made a comment. I said, this guy is terrific. He was very, very good. And so it went along like that. So on the next night was another match that we do, and built up. We had three matches for that one too. And that one match was live. So we go to another city. We did the same thing again, all over. That was all. So then I went home. So a month later, I fly a plane down to the next city we're going to. We did the whole thing all over again for 3 days. And I was financially being taken care of by Vince McMahon. So I got to knowing about these here things. There's one time, one of my girl wrestlers, she showed great promise. So I had one of my other wrestlers go wrestle her in the ring, you know, some of my wrestling shows that I was doing, things like that. I said, hey, she asked me, where's your next show going to? We're going to go to Tampa, Florida. We're doing a TV taping there. I have a friend that lives in Miami. Says, I'll go down there, and says, we'll come to your show in Tampa. I said, fine. So she did that, and she showed up at the show in Tampa, but she couldn't come back in the back where the rest wrestlers were. So I went and I talked to Shane McMahon, the son. So there's a girl out there, showed great promises. No, we're not interested. So, before I went out there, I received a phone call on my answering machine, the message. Waller, I heard you had a girl that shows great promise. So give me her phone number. This was a guy who was wrestling for WCW, Turner. So I didn't call him back. I'll see what happens. So when I got there, I had the girl come up, introduced her to Shane. So I mentioned about the phone call I had. So this girl said, yeah, she's no problem. They hired her right there. And she's a big-headed bitch. She denied everything, saying that he was responsible for talking to McMahon and getting her. She didn't even give me the credit for having her hired there. That's the way it goes. Some people become very big-headed. So, I'll go with that. See what happens. Well, away we go. So, I kept on going and kept on moving and things like that, you know. And I went into, got a phone call from a promoter. Oh, I make trips to Japan, constantly make trips to Japan over and over and over again. They knew I can perform in that ring. So the whole thing was, when you go to Japan, wrestle Japanese only. Do not wrestle one. There's a few other American wrestlers they have there, and which I knew them, you know, but you don't wrestle them. So that's the way it goes. Like Bruno Sammartino and I were together in Japan. We asked the promoter, each town that we go to, can you call up and find out that there's a bodybuilding gym there? And so we like to work out there. So each time we went to, they call up ahead of time, found the bodybuilding gym. So Bruno and I went up there 8 o'clock in the morning, worked out for a couple hours, you know, the muscles and things like that. And so other times, well, this next town we're going to, there's no gym there. It's okay. So we worked out 2 days in a row, missed a day or two. Then we're working out 4 days a week. So we're working out real well. So Bruno Sammartino, he got to become world champion for Vince McMahon. And I wrestled him when he was the champion. I body slammed him, stomped him, I tried to pin him. Here's a guy who bench presses 565 pounds. Bench press that. I get on top of him, get his hands underneath me, threw me off like it was a basketball. Clunk, right off me. I couldn't pin him. Of course not. Because a guy that powerful and that strong, he did it himself. That's the way it goes. So I remember we got along very, very well, him and I together. So when I was at Australia, he came down, I wrestled in Australia, him and I. And he stayed there for a couple of months and that. And finally, before he left, every time we went to, he put me over. He let me win. So that's the guy he got, #1 man. Bruno Sammartino. One time wrestling, him and I were wrestling in Madison Square Garden, New York. And we're going all out. People hated me, screaming at me, cheering Bruno Sammartino on. He was the world champion. So I'm pounding him in the knuckles like this. Boom! Scrape his head. And I was breaking his skin off his head. He was bleeding like heck. Finally, referee tried to stop the match. Get out, stop, get out. You know, he called up other wrestlers to come in. Chief Jake Trumbo comes in the ring, starts pushing us aside. Even Bruno Sammartino, no, some of the other wrestlers come in the ring too. And finally got us aside, and they shoved me out of the ring. People hated me, trying to kick me and that like that. So we broke the match. The referee ended the match as no contest. So there was no winner for it. But that's the way it went. So I just kept on going. When I was wrestling in South Africa, I got a phone call for me to come down there. So okay, I went down there. I'm wrestling down there. The wrestling promoter really hated me. Oh, one thing with me now. When I was traveling, I traveled with a camera. I took pictures of every place I went. I took pictures. I took them of myself. So when I was in wrestling just outside of Johannesburg, South Africa, the wrestling promoter, his son had a car, and he said, take Kowalski, we had a day off. So we went on a little tour. I'm going to take with the camera, take pictures of animals and things like that. So we came to a spot, and I'm in the back seat. 2 back windows were down. The guy's driving the car in the front. So we stopped, and we came to there was a guy there, a ranger. He came up and says, "You can't come down this trail." I said, "Why?" He said, "We're not allowed." He looked over and he saw me in the back with my camera. "What are you?" I said, I'm from America. I came here to take pictures and to tell the world what South Africa is like. "Oh, okay, go ahead." So we went down the trail, stopped. And there's out ahead in the front, out there, side of the car, it's a big lion with a bunch of cubs hanging there. So I had my window, my camera on the top, and focusing. Can't focus the thing. I looked up. The lion was walking toward me. It was this far from me. So I said, holy mackerel, I took my camera off, wound my window up. The rangers start laughing like heck. So when we were Rhodesia, at that time it's called Rhodesia, the town, now it's called Zimbabwe. So I was walking along a trail there, and I saw an ostrich. There was an ostrich there with his back to me. Holy mackerel, I'm trying to get a picture from the front of him. So I went over the railing, walking toward him, and he, at the corner of my eye, saw me, turned, saw me, and he comes charging at me. He was this much taller than me, ostrich. He was tall, big thing. Holy mackerel. I thought he's going to kill me. So I run back there, crawl back over the railing. I said the guy was walking with me. So what the hell's that? That's an ostrich. He's a shepherd. He's a shepherd? Yes. Over here in this country, ostriches are shepherds. Look down the whole lane there. There's a whole bunch of sheep there. I said, oh, he's watching. He thought you were going down there to hurt the sheep. So he could chase you away out of there. So holy mackerel. So imagine that. Whew. So when I was in Australia, there was a little puppy on a porch there. So he's wagging his tail, smiling at me. So I walked over to pet him. The guy says, pushed me back. Stop him. Don't you touch that dog, that puppy. I said, why? He's our shepherd. What? A little thing like that. He's a shepherd? Yes, he's our shepherd. So I said, where's he going to go? So he took him out to where the sheep were, put him down, and he showed a little shepherd, this dog, puppy, jumped up on the top of the sheep, jumped up one sheep to another, to the end. A lot of sheep. Well, the dog's here today, running all the way around the sheep. This little puppy would jump from one to the other, like that. We were on a trail this one time. This puppy was guiding the sheep, and they were walking along. They walked down to the end of a cliff. So the little puppy stopped. So he came back, jumped back. He started running. All the sheep come running with him. They're all running. There's another wrestler. I was standing there. They're all running at us. So I ducked down, zoom over top of me, the sheep. So the other wrestler, we both ducked down, and all the sheep didn't run into us. They jumped over top of us. So we thought, wow. So all these little things, you come across and see and like that. Wow, holy mackerel. A lot of good things like that. This one time, I remember, I'm retired from wrestling. I got a telephone call from a wrestling promoter. He says, I'd like to have you make a trip to Japan with us. All right, I said, who's all going? So he mentioned who's all going. I says, well, you're all going to meet in Los Angeles at the Japanese Japanese Airlines. At there. So there's 8 of us all together. One of them was Haystack Calhoun. And another guy, there's one guy, Pat O'Connor. Pat O'Connor's from New Zealand. And other wrestlers and things like that. So we all met there, and we all boarded the plane. And because it was a wrestling, it was Japanese Airlines, they catered to the wrestling office. Each wrestler had an aisle seat. The 2 seats beside us were empty. Because at that time, there was refuel in Honolulu. It's a 6-hour flight or 5-hour flight to Honolulu, Hawaii. So you could take a nap, put your arms up, lay down, take a nap. So what the heck, we did it. So one of the other guys was another guy, big fat guy, whose name at the time was not Haystack Calhoun. He was using a different name altogether. But Haystack Calhoun was the name that was given to him by Vince McMahon. So we all got on the plane, and each aisle had a wrestling thing, whereas Haystack had a aisle seat, of course, but he used 2 seats. He was this big, and he had 2 seats he sat. So finally, we landed at the airport. I lived in Hawaii for a whole year one time. I used to go to Japan to wrestle, Fuji Islands, things like that. So for a whole year, I lived in Hawaii. I loved it there. I had a wonderful time. So I knew what the airport was like. We all got off within 1 hour before we take off again for Tokyo. So as I got off the airplane, I got a bunch of magazines because I went to the store there, and we're ready to board. Haystack Room says, "Boy, I could live here forever. I just drank a quart of guava juice, just drank a quart of papaya juice, just drank a quart of Hawaiian juice, watermelon, other juice." So I thought to myself, holy mackerel, this guy can, he only goes to crap for once a month. Holy mackerel, this drinking all this juice is going to go right through him. So we all boarded the plane. So I'm sitting there reading the magazine, thing that I had bought. My seat was behind the partition separating first class, tourist class. We were in tourist class. Separating because I had the leg room. So that's why they put my seat there. 2 seats beside me are empty. So I'm sitting there reading the magazine. Pretty soon I see the stewardess scream as she's running by, past me, running all the way down the aisle. I'm watching into the cockpit. So what the hell's going on? Then she comes running back again. Shoom. What happened there was I turned around. Here's what I saw. I saw the 2 wrestlers, each standing on a seat on one side of the aisle, the rest on a seat on the other side of the aisle, holding up a blanket. But the galley and the plane was in the back. That's where the counter was for food and things like that. And the men's room, or not the men's room, the restroom, was in the back of that. So I said, what's going on? One of the other guys says, Haystack had to take a shit. So I says, how the hell is he going to do that? He bent over, his aim wasn't that good. He was just big around. You've been in an airplane before, the doorway is about that wide. We have to turn sideways. In fact, you'd have a trouble getting to the restroom on an airplane with your size. So I says, how the heck did they do that? Pretty soon, here's the 2 guys. Holy mackerel, what a stink. They dropped the blanket. Down it went. Here's what I saw. Standing there in a mailbag was Yukon Eric, Haystack Calhoun, nude. His one elbow was on the counter. He holding the other side of the bag with his hand. He crapped into that. He hasn't crapped for quite a few weeks. It stunk to high heaven. People at the back of the plane says, "Oh my God, what a stink!" They ran into first class, and my two people come past me. Sorry, excuse me. My 2 seats were gone, and so in other words, the people at the back, the tourists at the back of the plane, took off. And here's what happened from that. By Haystack Calhoun, that's what he did. He embarrassed all the wrestlers even. So someone said, what happened? What did he do? Well, they took the mailbag, mailed it to the wrestling office in Hong Kong, in Japan. Not Hong Kong, in Japan, mailed to the wrestling office there. What the office going to do? How the heck did I know what they're going to do with it? It stunk enough. So that's what it was with Haystack Calhoun. He just, if you're going to feed him, let him eat what he wants, but don't, after you finish eating, leave. So that's the way it goes. And for myself now, as I traveled, I took care of myself. Never smoked in my life. No alcoholic beverages whatsoever. So that's the way it goes. When I was still in St. Louis working out, a couple of guys, we had a wrestling office there. There was 4 of us outside the office. We're standing around talking. One guy said, "Hey, 2 blocks down there's a nice club. There's a lot of girls there. Let's go down there." I said, "Yeah, okay, come on, let's go down." We all went down there, and some of the guys went to the bar and take a beer. So I never had beer before. So I'll take a beer. So they give me a beer. I pour it in my glass. Pooh! Tastes like piss. I put the thing down and walked out. Never tried beer again. First time you try to drink beer, it tastes pretty weird. So to me, that was the first time I tried it. It was weird enough. I stopped it. Never tried it. Never tried beer again. So that's the way it goes, I learned these things from my practicing them them. And I learned how to wrestle in that ring, learned how to take care of myself in that ring. I knew exactly what goes on in that ring, what I do and what I do. Here I'm retired from wrestling. I'm back home, and I got a phone call. No, I'm not back home. I'm on the road yet. I received a phone call from a couple of kids. They have a wrestling school. They bought a ring and put it in the YMCA. In the YMCA in Salem, Massachusetts. And I said, well, what do I do? We told the promoter that you're going to train. We're trying to get you to train. So they told the promoter what my name was. The promoter was Polish. So I gave him a special room they gave him on the lock and key. So I was like that. So I never had a school before. So I went down there. Started the training. That's where I first started my wrestling school. And I kept showing these guys this, showing that, showing this, showing that. And pretty soon, things have started to pick up pretty good. I'm getting some good wrestlers out of the whole thing. And I got a phone call because I was the first only wrestling school. And so I got a phone call from some guy, Ted Koppel. I heard you have a school, wrestling school. I said, yeah. He's in New York. He said, well, I'd like to interview you, but talk about your wrestling school. I said, fine. So what they did, they sent a crew down. They put the where the ring was, and they put a microphone in the corner of the ring. And Koppel is in New York, and he couldn't get my message across. So they sent the guy in an airplane, went across. He saw there was a big building was blocking the signal. So they called up the guy who owned the building, asked him if he could put a transmitter up in there. Sure, you can do it. So that's what it was. I had my wrestling school there, talking to the wrestlers and things like that. Ted Koppel was talking to me, and the message goes to New York. He's talking in New York, and I'm talking there. And on the same program, that same night, was David Letterman. For crying out loud. When I got through the whole thing, Ted Koppel finally, when he quit, David Letterman took over the whole show. And so I've been at the school now. I've been doing it for a while. And I got a telephone call one time. What it was, David Letterman, doing a show, he took over the whole thing from the couple. He's doing the whole thing, and one of our guests called up earlier, said he can't make the show. So one of his guys that works there remembered my name. So they called me up at 8 o'clock in the morning. We'd like to have you on the David Letterman show late this afternoon. Can you come on down? I said, sure. I was an AFTA member. And so I went to the airport. I called up the airport, found out what plane is going to New York. So I went down, made arrangements, got on the plane. Then this goes back to 84 or something like that. So I got on the plane, flew there, got a receipt, actually from the airline, and I took a cab, gave him the address where I want to go, and he took me there, gave me a receipt. I paid him, gave me a receipt, and I went up there. I said, "My name is I'm Walter Kowalski," and oh, sure, but David Letterman does not talk to us beforehand. You're going to be cold when you go on the air with him. It's okay. So finally, he goes on the air. Now, he goes on the air before. In other words, it's a tape show. He shows the tape live on the air late at night. So it was middle afternoon, and we're on the air, we're talking. We're talking about this. He knew nothing about wrestling. The other guy told me, he knows nothing about wrestling. How about photographs? Fine. Bring a bunch of photographs with you. So I did. I brought a bunch of photographs with me, and I explained some of the wrestlers to what the wrestlers do, what can do, and what they're performing, how the performance in the ring, one after another, one after another. Finally, I showed them a photo of Yukon Eric. The only thing I had left was the lobe on his ear. I told him about Yukon Eric, and he said, the whole thing was, I felt bad about it, because what I did to Yukon Eric, I handicapped him. You did? He said, yeah, I handicapped him. How'd you do that? Well, he only had one ear, good ear. We walking down the road on a windy day. The wind was catching his good ear, spin him around. So you had to stay home on windy days all the time. So the whole crowd laughed like heck, and David didn't want to laugh because it was too embarrassing to do the whole thing. So I had an imagination. So that program was repeated around the world. I got paid every time for it.
Wow. Do you have any stories of with Andre the Giant?
Andre the Giant, when he first came from Europe, and they mentioned he came to Montreal. So I'm sitting, he arrived there. I'm sitting at the one end of the dressing room there, no, the lobby there, promotional lobby. And all the other guys, he's there talking to them French, talking French to all the people there, wrestlers and everything. He looks over and he sees me. The other guy told him who I was, Kowalski. He walks over to me, Kowalski? Yes, he spoke to me in Polish. Now this, Andre the Giant could speak quite a few languages apparently. So we became friends, and we started wrestling. All the towns around there, Quebec City, and all the towns around there were wrestling. Him and I were wrestling one another. And the more we wrestled, the more he was picking up, because he was kind of green, and he didn't know much about wrestling. So we kept going, doing this and doing that, and he said, "You throw me the ropes, I come off the rope." He said, "Put your foot up." I crash into your foot. I go down. Just laugh at me, and he picks me up and does what he wants. So actually, he was picking up and he was learning quite a bit, and I kept that to myself at the time. That's the way it goes. So Andre the Giant became very, very good. At that time, he was using another name, Ferris, Luis Ferris, something like that. He was using his own real name or something like that. So I wrestled him one time, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And I climbed the top turnbuckle, grabbed my arm and threw me across the ring. Crash, down I went. So, whew, this guy was a strong guy. Here's a guy who weighs almost 400 pounds. And he's very, very strong. He went to a restaurant one time, buffet. He started eating. He almost emptied the whole restaurant. But the promoter comes up to him and says, "Don't you ever come back here again." He would think I emptied the restaurant with eating so much. While we're wrestling, he says, "Body slam me." I said, "About 400 pounds." He said, "Baloney, body slam me." Okay. I crushed him. He did a whole thing himself, cartwheeled and everything, and down he went. People started cheering me. I picked him up and slammed him. That same move was done by Hulk Hogan and
WrestleMania 3.
WrestleMania 3. And he got the credit for body slamming him. I was before him. Andre the Giant did it all himself. Andre the Giant, as a name, was given to him by Vince McMahon.
That's incredible.
That's
incredible. When you were a heel, and a lot of the times back in the day, fans were very, very, very violent. They would throw things at you. They had to use nets in the Boston Garden. You guys had to be protected very much. Were you ever involved in dangerous situations where it's life-threatening or outside? Just when you're not wrestling.
I'm wrestling in Ottawa, Ontario, in Canada, and the people are throwing stuff at me and garbage at me like that. And holy man, everything, I was all going crazy. And I come out of the ring, I beat the hell out of my opponent and things like that. So I had to fight my way from the ring into my dressing room. As I'm going down there, someone picked up a table, threw it at me. I stepped aside, and missed me. Holy man! And they got me. Some people got me down. Had my arm trapped over the railing like that. I pulled my arm out. I got back. So another guy come back. I picked up the table. And another guy rammed it into his chest, and he crashed him into the wall. That was the end of him. I got back to the dressing room. So 1 month later, we're coming back. I said, I don't want to wrestle here anymore. You people are crazy. Everything's going to be okay. Come back here. I come back there. They built a whole trailing at the dressing room. I walked up the steps, and the thing goes all the way to the ring. It was that high. The railing. So I walked in the middle of the whole trail, walked in the ring, stepped over the rope, and walked in. The people couldn't touch me because I walked right on there. So then from there, word got out after, and they had security people, 4 security people, with me. Like I'm at this one time, wrestling in the town, and there's 4 security people. In fact, they're policemen. They're paying good money, and they walked me to the ring. I finished wrestling and everything like that, and walked out, and I started walking back. They're all beside me. There's one guy walking by. He kicks me. I put my knees together. He kicked me between the knees. I grabbed him and boom! I punched him, hit him, smashed his nose. I kept on going, went back to the dressing room. So this one guy come out and said, I'm a lawyer. He says, I'm going to sue him for millions of dollars, like that. You're a lawyer? What's your name? The police said, oh, yeah. So I put the whole thing down, it started down, everything like that. He says, the cop said, you'll never have do your lawyer thing again. We're going to put you in jail and put you away. Oh, I dropped. So the police were on my side. The other guy dropped everything too, and the lawyer told him, stop, they'll put you in jail too. So everything was all right. So I had, like that, the lawyers and things that might thing help me out. And many times I had to have a thing. Like this one time, I remember, we're wrestling in the town. Oh, it's in Montreal, Canada. Don Leo Jonathan, I'm wrestling him. And we could only wrestle there during the summer. Because the winter time, the whole thing is frozen in, and there's ice from the whole building. The Montreal Canadiens own the building. It's a hockey team. So it's all iced in. So we can't wrestle there in the winter time, only in the summertime. And there's old building, no air conditioning, so it's very, very hot in the place. Wrestling Don Leo Jonathan, picked me up to slam me. We're both sweating. I slipped out of his arms. Down I went sideways, and my whole spine snapped. Are we still in the air? Are they still taping us? Or am I talking too much?
Yes, we're still taping, yep.
Okay. Now, I went paralyzed. From my waist down, I was completely paralyzed. I landed sideways. My spine clip. I felt like I couldn't pinch. It's a 2 or 3 fall match. So I'm paralyzed. So he taught me for the first fall, 1, 2, 3. And the security guys went and got a stretcher, slid over to me. They rolled me on the stretcher and carried me back to the dressing room. Put me on the table there. There was a big knock on the door. The guy opened the door. I'm a chiropractor. I know what's the matter with him. Come on in. The chiropractor came over to me, saw me laying there. My one leg was shorter than the other, but my whole hip was shifted. He turned me here, click. He turned me here, click. Turned me here, click, click. I pinched my thighs. I could feel it. So I come off the table. I can walk. How much owe you? Nothing. You owe me nothing. So I'm walking back toward the ring. People holler, fake, fake, fake. being carried on the stretcher and I'm walking back. What do people know about wrestling, eh? I'm to Hollywood, it's a fake. To them, it's all a fake. So that's the way it goes. I went to came down to Jonathan. We had a big match. We beat the heck out of each other. So that's the way it goes. So I had episodes like this, you know, in my whole career, like that. And I'm wrestling someone else. I forget who. Some of the names. My knee goes out. Dislocate. It's ripped. It's dislocated. My knee. My whole leg is shifted over. The other times, I remember one time, my shoulder popped out in a match, and it was hanging there. So I put it in, but I give me one night off. The next time I have to wrestle again. But usually when you have a shoulder like that, you can't raise your arm for 2 or 3 weeks. But I went to the ring. I knew exactly what to do, how to hide my injuries. Want me to show you what I did?
Yes, show me, please.
Get up, stand up. Now, stand back there. Now, we come up like this, don't we? Like
Yep,
that.
collar and elbow.
Okay. Okay, here. Okay, I'll show you. Okay, ready? Okay, let's go. My bad shoulder, and I still did it to you.
Yep.
When I got back in the dressing room, hey, your shoulder's all right. You went and put your arm out there like that. I said, yeah. You didn't know what I did either, did you? I can't raise my arm. Here's what I did. Did you see what I did?
You threw it on top of me.
I threw my own arm up like that, and my other arm up here.
Yep.
Because both arms were together, people didn't spot it. So I was able to hurt my injuries. I was able to hide my injuries that way. I'm smart enough, and when I scream at the people, I put my good leg forward, like that. I drive my other leg as hard as the people. Just like that, drag my other bad leg. I can't go across the ring that way. So I was able to hide my injuries in the ring. Hide it the way I knew how to hide it. So, see here, watch. I can't touch my shoulder like that. Why? Because both my elbows have been dislocated and popped. Both my knees have been, this one was 3 times, this was 3 times. Here, reach full feel here. Feel that?
Yep.
That shoulder was poof, that shoulder was dislocated.
Yep.
Because of the lump there. So all these injuries, I had these injuries at one time, but I'm able to hide it. I had a back injury. I could stand on my feet, I could walk, but not for too long a distance because of my back injuries are starting to accumulate now for all these years of injuries I had. So all you people, you get injuries, you do it yourself. I did my own, and I lived with it. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard me. I try to do my best to help you enthusiastic about the whole thing. But remember me, Killer Kowalski.
We